All right, welcome to TV Table Sports Talk. And for people, I don't know if people are too young to remember, I call it that because these are TV tables, these little foldable tables. You used to, when I was a kid, this is where you'd eat dinner with when you'd go over your grandparents' house or something. Let's turn down. This is today's record of the day for the podcast. I'm always going to play a different record here in the intro. But that was the Kid Frankie off of Wiz Khalifa's Kush and Orange Juice mixtape there. So that's today's record of the day. So TV tables are, these little foldable tables here that you'd eat dinner with your grandparents. That's where I'd use them. You'd go and we'd all eat dinner on TV tables and watch Wheel of Fortune. And then Jeopardy was after it. We'd all guess the Wheel of Fortune things. And it just brings back good memories to me of, eating dinner. My grandparents have since passed away. And it just reminds me of them and those dinners and how fun it was watching Wheel of Fortune and eating dinner on these TV tables. Let's start. Let's get into topics here. First of all, I bought it yesterday. The Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury fight. I can't say it wasn't worth the money because it actually was a fairly decent. It wasn't a great boxing match in terms of skills. You can definitely now tell. It made me realize how good Floyd Mayweather actually is when I watched that. It really did make me realize how fucking good Floyd Mayweather is at boxing. I will never take anything away from him again. He is an amazing boxer because you can just tell how low skill, how early in their career both of them are. You could tell that Tommy Fury he was the better boxer. He has more skill, hands down, than Jake Paul. Jake Paul really was exposed there against his first boxer. He really is, if he can't catch him with that one right, he threw a lot of good counters and swung big right over him, that hit a little bit, but he didn't quite connect with it. He's swinging a lot of them, and if he did connect with one, he might have been able to knock him out. But that was his whole game, going for the knockout. That's what he was going for, landing that one right hook, that one right punch that, he set up. He had some good left hands too, but it was definitely all going for that knockout punch. You could tell that's what his style of boxing is right now. That's what he's done. That's because he's going for that shock value, that moment, when he knocks out Tyron Woodley, he's going for that big moment that's going to be played on TikTok and YouTube and all the social media. That's what he wants to be seen as, the knockout artist, this cold knockout killer guy. But he's just not that yet in real boxing, and that was exposed yesterday. I mean, Mike Tyson, was a knockout guy and everything, but Mike Tyson had some serious skills on top of his knockout power. He had knockout power and serious boxing skills. Jake Paul kind of right now is mostly just the knockout power. It was very evident when he was actually. Tommy Fury may not be the best boxer yet, but you could tell he was the first real boxer Jake Paul has fought. You could tell he was a real boxer compared to all the UFC guys Jake Paul has been fighting. You can really tell. Because Tommy Fury did win that match. He won the most rounds. I forget where my count was, but I did have him ahead 3 rounds. He won way more rounds. He was landing way more punches and combinations. All Jake Paul was landing was counters where he could dodge a punch and overhand right. That was all he seemed to land was dodge right. That's the move he was going for the whole time. Can I dodge and counter with this overhand right? And it just wasn't landing. It did a couple times, and in the last round, Jake Paul did land a clean knockdown. I think that was with his left, or I think it was with his left. I'm not sure. It was a clean shot to the face, and he knocked him down. Not fully, but he fell down, on his knees or whatever. He caught himself. He wasn't laid out on the canvas, but he landed a knockdown, and won that last round. But didn't knock him out. But I thought with the knockdown that he landed, for some reason the ring announcer said Jake Paul had 2 knockdowns. I don't remember a second one. But I thought he was going to win the match because of that knockdown. Because that was the only knockdown, the only time either fighter went to the canvas, was off their 2 feet. I thought Jake Paul was going to get the win because of that. I thought that was going to, influence the judges enough to give him the win. I thought that was it. Because it did seem real close. It was real close most of the time. But when they went over the stats, you really saw that Tommy Fury was dominating that, really, from a technical standpoint and everything. Punches landed, his percentages, all of that. I don't know the exact. It was something like Jake Paul landed like 20-something% of his shots, significant shots landed or whatever, and Tyson Fury was like high 40% or something. He beat him in all categories. He was clearly winning more rounds than Jake. I just didn't know if because of the knockdown that would influence him. Like Jake said in the end, he thought he won 2 rounds 10-8. Like I don't know enough about boxing scoring to know like if you win less rounds, but the rounds you do win, if you win by more points, like 10-8 or something instead of like, I don't know, 10-9 or something, or 9-8, if you win them by more, do you win the fight or something? I didn't know that. I didn't know if it was just like whoever wins the most rounds or like how much your aggregate points are. I wasn't sure. I thought that knockdown, and the announcer said that. He said, I think Jake Paul, it was so close, I think Jake Paul just won from that knockdown. The announcer said that. It seemed to be what everyone agreed on. I thought that was what it was going to be. But I was shocked. They did the right thing because, Tommy Fury looked like the better boxer, controlled the fight for the most part. He was advancing. I thought he was in the center of the ring, and sometimes, Jake was chasing him around, but that was giving Jake problems because Tommy was constantly moving. He wasn't sitting still, that's what all the UFC guys seem to do. Like Tyron Woodley, now I just remember that, was barely moving. He was so slow, he was just standing there, so Jake could just decide when he wanted to knock him out almost. Like he wasn't moving much, so he could just land his punches. It's easier to hit a standing still target than a moving target, obviously. And Tommy just had more stamina than any of the guys. Ben Askren, all these guys. Tommy Fury's actually a young guy. The first guy who doesn't have a fucking AARP card, or the first guy who didn't get a senior citizen coffee at Dunkin' Donuts on the way to the fight, Well, they probably don't have Dunkin' Donuts in Saudi Arabia, or maybe they do. Probably Starbucks, but whatever. They didn't get their senior citizen discount. This was the first fighter that was as young as him. And you could just tell he was outmatched by it. And in the exit interview, Jake Paul said he was flat. I felt flat. I came out flat. I just felt flat the whole fight. But then if you watch pre-fight, he's like, the announcer is interviewing him, and he's like, you're not injured. There's no excuses. You're getting the full Jake Paul tonight. And Jake Paul's like, you are getting no injuries. You're getting the full Jake Joseph Paul. I use my middle name. You're getting the full Jake Joseph Paul. I think that was it, Joseph. No excuses. Full Jake Joseph Paul. I will knock out Tommy Fury tonight. I will knock him out. So in the end, him saying, I felt flat the whole night, really doesn't stand up to what you were saying before. You just didn't get the job done. And I think he figured that out early on, that this is going to be a little harder than he thought. I was impressed because I had watched Tommy Fury box some unknown guy before on a card, and he just didn't. I think it was on Jake Paul's undercard for the Tyron Woodley fight. And Tommy Fury looked nothing. He didn't finish him. It was like a small guy. He didn't knock him out or anything. He didn't seem to be like pressing, like have that killer instinct or anything, like going after him, trying to knock him out. He just seemed to like want to get through the fight and win by split decision by beating him by a little bit. So I thought Tommy Fury, I thought he might get knocked out. I wanted Jake Paul to lose. I did, obviously, because I want to see how Jake reacts to a loss now when everything isn't going right for him. He's not winning everything. Everything's not perfect. I want to see what he does with a loss now. Like, how does he act? Is he ready to get back up, box again, or does he move on to other things, start scamming for more crypto, or does he drop boxing? I mean, I want to see what he did after a loss. Where's his heart at? Where's his spirit at? Was he making excuses? Does he want a rematch? He said he wants a rematch after the match. So it's not like I just wanted to see Jake Paul get knocked out because he's, an asshole, and I want to see him get knocked out. There's a little bit of that, But I want his confidence to go down a little bit, his ego to go down a little bit. See when he doesn't have all this ego, because he's been defeated now, so he's not like the best blah 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 best boxer. So I want to see how he reacts to that. So I think this will be good. He said, "Don't judge me by my wins, judge me by my losses." Jake, I was impressed with everything he said afterwards. I was impressed. He did everything right after the match. He gave him Tommy props. They talked, and it seemed to be, all just respect and everything. So I was impressed with the way Jake talked afterwards. And if he does he has a rematch clause, I would like to see a rematch. I would pay for a rematch. I want to see what happens. But yeah, they did the right thing. I thought somehow Jake would win. Like I don't know. I don't think he'd pay off the refs or whatever, the scorekeepers. But it just seems like he was going to win. He always, once the knockdown happened, I'm just like, he's going to win because of that. When I knew Tommy Fury won way more rounds. Out of the 8 rounds, I would say Tommy Fury won at least 5 of them, I would say. At least, 5. I know Jake definitely won 2. Probably 3. So, yeah, it was probably 5 rounds to 3 rounds, I think was exactly it. And, yeah, Jake Paul had one scorekeeper had him winning 76-75 or 75-74. And then the other 2 judges had Tommy Fury winning 76-73. So the other 2 had Tommy Fury winning by a big margin. So they saw it too, that he was a better boxer. He was landing more punches, doing more combos, doing more than just trying to counter with a big right and go for the knockout. He was just the better technical boxer, the more prepared, more skilled, and he was winning more rounds, and that's the bottom line, and the right man won the match. They scored it right, in my opinion. Won way more rounds, just looked better. So we'll see if this makes Jake Paul better, if he turns into a better all-around boxer because of this and not just going for knockouts. I think it was it was worth the $50, I guess, though. Win 8 rounds. It was a close match for the most part. I mean, for the most part, it was close, but you could tell Tommy definitely won way more rounds. So, but a good fight.